This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition, battle-tested nutrition, expert formulated supplements. Use code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. All here today, I have Justin Harris with me from Troponin Nutrition and his new supplement company, First Detachment Nutrition. Justin's been my coach for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, something like that. Helped me get ready for a contest last year and helped me with that crazy rebound I had this off season. But anyway, how's it going, Justin?
Good. How you doing? Glad to be here. I've been excited about this.
I'm good. This is actually the first time we've ever talked.
In person, yeah.
I've been with Justin for a while, and we've never actually talked. I texted the fuck out of him on my contest prep. He probably got tired of.
Well, it's funny because that's one of the weird things about this sport is because you have the YouTube channel and then you probably hear me. So I've heard your voice 1,000 times, just never directly at me.
Never at you. Yeah, yes. It's funny with this YouTube thing. It took off quicker than what I was expecting. I get dudes walking up to me at the gym now asking to take
their good videos. They're good videos.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, are you that guy on YouTube?" I'm like, "Yeah, man,
awesome.
that's me. That's fun. It's really funny." But anyway, yeah, Justin and I have been working together for a year and a half now, and Justin just started his nutrition company. I've been I'm trying out some of the supplements. I'm using the fat burners right now, which I'll tell you, man, those things are crazy, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no wasted product. They were designed for what I do. They were designed for contest prep. I mean, really, they were designed to be mixed with ephedrine. We obviously couldn't do that, and we can't market it that way. But the ingredients were designed really 100% for that. And then even more so, the issue, there's always been like the ECY stack, ephedrine, caffeine, and yohimbine stack,
Yeah.
The problem is that I find about 30 to 35% of people can't tolerate the standard 5 milligram dose of yohimbine. They don't feel good at. So we lowered that to 2.5 to take the edge off a little bit, but we also added teacrine, which kind of has teacrine works the same as caffeine. Caffeine is an adenosine antagonist. Teacrine doesn't antagonize the adenosine receptor, but it does reduce adenosine levels in the body, and that kind of takes the way teacrine works with that, and then some of its effects on dopamine, and then just general mood, and it's kind of an anxiolytic. It really helps take the edge off the yohimbine on top of being a good fat burner on its own.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember last year, but when we were doing prep, I had to stop the yohimbine. It made me feel like I was going to puke, man.
It's like at least 1 in 3 clients have had to over the years. So that's why we were really particular about the dose and then the additional ingredients to kind of offset that edge. And so far, we've only been in production for 2 weeks, and we have, a couple months of rough samples with people. I've had zero clients have to stop it or complain about it. Whether they might just be trying to convince themselves this time because it's a new product, but whatever it is,
I've had zero issues so far, other than peeing like 5 times at night.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. It's probably the teacrine and the caffeine, I would assume, but
and then it's got the EGCG, the green tea, but it's standardized for the actual ingredient EGCG in green tea. That's kind of a metabolic stimulant and fat burner.
Well, there's definitely it seems to be a diuretic effect to it as well. I also like my weight, my metabolism always seems to spin up as I go.
Oh, man, your metabolism is wild. It's like trying to land. It's like trying to land a falling spaceship on a moving target. Like bringing you in at the end, because your metabolism will just start running away. Because you don't have to eat that much food in the off season to really add size. But then we kind of really have to push it at first to get things rolling in the fat loss. We go pretty low calorie for your size. But then once it starts snowballing, if we don't get ahead of it and start, bringing in calories really high on the high day or reworking things, your metabolism just takes off.
Yeah, I noticed the first week I added I've been on the fat burner for 2 weeks now. The first week that I added it in, I think I lost like 3.5, 4 pounds. The first couple of weeks of dieting, I usually never lose much weight. Mm-hmm. And then I noticed the first week I lost 3.5 pounds. And then this past week, dude, I've been losing a pound a day almost.
Yeah, I was expecting we're going to have to start doing some mega high days and really play with it. That's the other thing with you've added so much size. It's really a whole new ball game. That's there's 2 different contest preps. There's the contest prep that 99% of bodybuilders ever know, which is just like hunger, starvation, fatigue, low calories, because that's 99% of people never really build the muscle mass or the metabolism to have the second type of contest prep, which is the type that like pros and top national competitors have to deal with, which is, yes, you're hungry, but it's not just straight starving cardio pushing. It's you got to be careful to pull the brakes and fill back out. It's a balancing act. When your metabolism gets that high and you have that much muscle, you can go off the cliff in a hurry. We kind of saw that with you at the end of your first prep.
Yeah, I think I lost 20 pounds in like the last 2 weeks or something crazy. Like, and you kept giving me food, man. I kept losing weight. It was we'll be more prepared for it this year, but you're actually like the example of why coach. I mean, not that anyone should stick with a coach just to stick with a coach. Try people out there, find someone that you work with. But why coach hopping is bad, because if we would have separated after your first contest, we would have not been able to use all those tools that we learned in the rebound in the off season, which was just absolutely insane. Probably one of the top 5 off seasons, at least for sure, that I've ever seen in bodybuilding. Yeah, it was insane for me. I wish I could say I did something special, dude, but
you did. That's the classic thing, is that's all the people on the forums, all the people that think there's some magic cycle or some secret formula. You are the perfect example. It's generally what benefits the most long term is to get really, really lean, and that's when the growth really starts. So you get really, really lean that first contest, and you got you too lean and over dieted. But then your metabolism is revved up and your appetite's fired up, so we can put those calories to use without burning out your appetite. We can load a ton of good, clean food, and then it's simple. It's train really hard, and there's all types of training. I know you went higher volume and that worked for you. I like to do more progressive overload usually, but some kind of training that really produces a stimulus that you enjoy to do and you're excited to do, and then a shit ton of good, clean food. Lean meats, rice, oats, healthy fats, and then the standard cycle. That's all it is. It's just that people never put that chicken and rice. And actually, I was on a website where someone was saying something like that about the secret, yada yada, and then someone jumped in and they were like, yeah, these guys will have you believe that you're going to get big on chicken and rice. You can't get big on chicken and rice. And I was like, that's exactly it. That's what you're all missing. That's what it is. It's eating ass loads of meat and rice, and that people don't want to accept that.
Yeah, I have some guys I help out here and there. I have a few people I coach, and they're like always looking for some protein powder or whatever. And I'm like, dude, be the champion and eat chicken and rice, and you'll get big.
That's what the sport is who and it's not just chicken and rice. That's just the easy catch.
Well, meat and rice.
Who can eat the most lean meat and rice basically without losing their mind every 3 hours for a decade. And if you can do that,
I will tell you, most motherfuckers though think that the diet is optional. I know I've heard you say that before, but I just like, my God, it frustrates the hell out of me how many people will not follow the diet. And
what blows my mind with that is you can look at things. You don't have to know anything, and you can just do an observational analysis. And about 1 to 3 million Americans use PEDs in any given year. And you can probably at least 90, probably like closer to 99% of those are males, and probably 90% of those are 18 to 35-year-old males. So you got, let's say take the high end of that, and let's take the low end and say just only 1 million people use that. Well, how many 18 to 35-year-old males do you think there are in the United States? Less than 100 million. You got 1 in 100 men and 1 in 100 people. So if you see 100 dudes, one of them, that doesn't count. How many 18 to 35-year-old men go to the gym regularly?
Almost none. It's got to be a fraction of 1%.
Yeah, one out of 10. So you're talking like at that point, a large portion of the people at the gym are on gear. If you do, there's probably less than 30 million guys that go to the gym regularly and serious about it. And so 3 million of those are on anabolics. 1 in 10 people in every gym in America is on PEDs, and they're all doing the same workout. You do bench press for chest, dumbbell press for chest, you do leg press for legs. Everyone does the same workouts. So if everyone's on gear and everyone's doing the same workouts, why do some people look like bodybuilders and some people don't? The only remaining variable is the diet.
Yeah, I tell people, to me, I don't know, maybe you disagree, but for me, I think the most important driver for the sport is diet compliance. Following the diet, it doesn't matter what fucking gear you take if you aren't eating, or you're eating like shit, and it doesn't matter how you train if you don't have enough nutrition to support that training.
100%. And then with the gear too, it's like how many. There's like 50 compounds total ever produced as far as PEDs. There's not that many. You know, it doesn't take long to work through them and realize there's no secret formula. You know, if there was like 37,000 different PEDs in various combinations, but it's, you know, test, primobolan, GH, and insulin. That's it. By 6 months in, you should know that, and then that you've maxed that out. That's it. You know, so it just. The other thing is, if you sit around and hang out with like gym rats, they'll want to talk about gear, which makes sense because it's newer and exciting for them, and they're probably not that many cycles in. But it's an exciting thing. But that's what they want to sit around and talk about. You sit around with pros or top amateurs, all they talk about is food. No one asks each other cycle. They talk about food. That's it. Because that's like the full-on obsession. That is your life as a bodybuilder, is eating. That's your life. You don't. If you got to have a road trip, if you're going to visit your parents, what's your first thought? I gotta have my meals packed. You know, It's just, you know, that's it. That's life.
It's funny, since I started this channel, I watch the analytics on the videos, and I honestly, like, the gear kind of bores me because there's only so, like you said, there's only so much to know about it. And really in the sport, there's only, you know, a half dozen or so compounds that guys even use regularly anyway.
But everyone's doing the same stuff.
Yeah, everybody's doing the same stuff. And then when I put videos up, I put something up about nutrition, it gets like almost no views. I put something up about a crazy trend and test cycle. It gets 5 times what, but anyway.
It sucks, and it is what it is, because I mean, let's be honest. If I see clickbait, you know, oh my God, test and trend, I'm probably clicking on it too. You know.
Well, I mean, you know, from working with people, and I try to tell these guys, you know, I'm lucky enough to work out at a gym where there's quite a few pros that work out, and you know, and I've known the guys over the years, and I've talked to them, and I don't think dudes believe me when I tell them that they're just doing basic shit.
There only is basic shit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they think there's some magic thing. There's, you know, and that makes that's obvious too. You know, you have scientists developing these chemicals years ago. You know, they don't typically develop the worst stuff, and then the 70th iteration they suddenly develop something really good. I mean, the obvious choice is almost always the first thing that's developed. You know, they synthesize testosterone, and then it's really clear what's a kind of a derivative that will have really good protein synthesis benefits, and that would be like Dianabol. You know, it's not. The further you get along, the more exotic you get, the less likely you get that's going to be a really stellar compound. Because if it was really stellar, one of the brilliant scientists working on these things would have recognized the chemical structure of it earlier, you know? And so it's really, every new compound is much, much less likely to be more effective than the previous.
And at the end of the day, you know, in your off season, when you're trying to accumulate size, really, muscle protein synthesis is the thing that we're most concerned about.
Yeah, it's always the limiting factor. It's always the food, you know. And I hate to keep cutting you off, but you can do the same thing, observational analysis with this. It's not going to be training for most people. Most people are training sufficiently hard, and you can kind of check it yourself. You can say, okay, if I only did 1 set at the gym and I started doing 2 sets, I'm going to grow more. You can, you know, and if I was doing 2 and I had a 3rd set, you know, there's going to be a linear increase of growth. And you can do that up to some number of sets. But at some point, and any of us listening right now, none of us can say to ourselves, if I do 1 more set every workout, I can guarantee a linear increase in growth. They can't. We don't, you know, we don't know that one, because if that was, we would be doing that extra set. So we're already in some state where we're probably training to produce a stimulus that's more than we can cover with the food and supplements.
Right.
So the way to maximize growth at this point is to be more efficient with the food, you know, with the food.
This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition, battle-tested nutrition, expert formulated supplements. Use code AB10 at checkout for 10% off.